This is the worst song I've ever heard in recent memory.
This was at the bottom of my ranking too.
This song is. I wrote little notes next to all the songs, and this one it just says "bad song" with a frowny face.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of the Indieheads podcast. I'm your host, Matty, a.k.a. at Moravian Prince on Twitter. On this episode of the podcast, we have Rose.
Hello. Is this a crossover episode?
Potentially. We're going to find out. Corinne.
Hi, that's me.
We got Gavin.
I don't know who that is. I think he left.
The Ska Man, I should say.
Oh, yeah, no, that's me.
Then we have Nat.
Hi, I'm new in town.
And then we have our very special guest, Chris Farren.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Chris Farren, the man himself. Now, Chris, I have a question for you. I've been doing some investigative journalism, okay? And back during the Love in the Time of Email promotion cycle, you said that you were hot now. However, for this recent promotion cycle, you said that you were born hot. So, Chris, what is the truth?
I was too scared to admit for all this time that I am so hot, and then I guess it's more about me like finally coming to terms with and you know, being able to put it out into the public that I'm hot.
Acceptable answer. I'm happy to hear it. Glad that you have found yourself on this wonderful hot journey that you have come across. But seriously, thank you, Chris, so much for coming on this pod, and thank you for indulging in today's topic, which I've been wanting to do for years now on this podcast. And I'm glad to have you along with this journey, as we're going to be talking about the top 12 alternative national airplay songs via Billboard. So the top 12 alternative songs, the top 12 alternative quotation marks songs in the country right now. But before we get into number 12, Chris, I know our stats for this podcast, so if you got stuff you want to plug, I would get it out of the way now so we can just go on to this merry, miserable, potentially happy journey that we're about to come across. So you've got an album, you've got a tour. Let's talk about it, baby. Where are those plugs?
That's right. I have an album. I have a tour, and the album's called Born Hot. It came out on Polyvinyl Records, October 11th, 2019, and the tour starts January 15th, a mere 10 days from recording this time.
Yay.
And I'm going to also go to the UK after my full US tour. So that's what I've got going on.
Yes. So thank you for joining us before you go on tour. If you have the chance to see Chris, go see Chris, because I mean, truly, it's a once in a lifetime experience. You know, I mean, you could see Chris, you know, from 3 months after the release of Born Hot to 5 or 6 months after the release of Born Hot, which are all very special anniversaries that you need to join him on.
That's true. That's true.
And plus, you get Retirement Party and Max Seal, and that's a good package deal right there.
Yeah, two great rock groups.
Yeah, come on. Why wouldn't you want to enjoy another perfect performance from Chris Farren?
Thank you.
If you like
See?
groups, people who rock, go see some rock groups and go see Chris Farren. That's
Celebrate.
what I gotta say. You can put that on a poster. You can put that on a CD.
We here at the podcast.
I'll put that on a CD.
And speaking of great rock groups, let's talk about this number 12 entry, a cover of Sublime. It's Lana Del Rey's Doin' Time, which has been climbing up the charts for this Billboard alternative chart thingamajigger. So we usually do top 10s. We occasionally do, Chris, if you don't know, we occasionally will do every couple of months. We'll talk about the Billboard top 10 for the pop charts, just kind of like, just so we can dip our toes in and be like, okay, what's going on in pop music? And then we can either laugh, cry, enjoy ourselves, or all the above. And alternative is a different beast altogether, because you get a lot of stuff you get some stuff that's like, okay, this is within the cultural zeitgeist. and then you will get bands called suburban that I have no idea if they are real or not. Apparently they are real and they're on this chart, but I doubt it. You know, I don't believe that they're real. I don't believe that someone named let me see what like horrible shit is on here. There's a band called 2 Feet. I don't know who 2 Feet is. I don't think they're real. And there's a lot of not real acts that we'll talk about, but we'll get there. But Lana Del Rey is very real, and she is doing time. And you know what, folks? I'm gonna say it. This is a great cover, and it is always a delight to hear this on the radio. And it's probably one of the best songs on Norman fucking Rockwell, which is an album that we surprisingly did not talk about on the podcast because I think it came out during one of our various hiatuses, and we just kind of missed it, and we just decided not to talk about it. But this is our chance to talk about Norman fucking Rockwell and doing time. So, Chris, I'm gonna. Have you heard this? You have heard this because I made you listen to it.
I've heard this. Right.
Did you hear this before I made you listen to it again?
I heard this before. I listened to the Norman fucking Rockwell record once before. I liked it when I listened to it, but then I never found myself listening to it again. So that I guess that probably says something. But I also not a big music guy. But I like this song. There you go.
It's nice. Exactly. Here's the thing. It's a cover. It's a somewhat. There's another cover on this chart that we'll talk about a bit later on. But I feel like when you're doing a cover, there's like 2 or 3 things that you have to like keep in consideration. Like number one, like what are you doing different with this song? Why do you feel the need that you need to cover it? You know, is there a different take that you have on it that the original artist did not have? 2, you want to find the nice mix of both, like your own take, but also being faithful to the cover and, you know, making sure you're not, you know, bastardizing the song. And if you are, you know, you're doing it in a fun way. And then the third one, make sure it doesn't suck. And I think Lana passes the test for all 3. It's faithful to the original. It takes a somewhat new, fresh take on it. I think it kind of updates the production a little bit, but in a way that, you know, doesn't take away too much from the original. It keeps all the gears, the bare bones of the song are still all here. Even some of the meat and flesh and bones, it's all here. But it's sung by a very lovely woman, and that recontextualizes the song. It recontextualizes the song in some very interesting ways that I think make it work and make it unique. And I think it's good. It's pleasant. I like hearing it on the radio. It is better than almost any Sublime song that I have heard. So
the vibe certainly suits Lana Del Rey's whole thing.
Her like particular shtick.
Right.
It's on brand.
It works well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait, Chris. Are you from Southern California or?
No, I'm from Florida.
No.
Ah, okay.
Thank you.
Wow, minus 10 cool points.
Wait, for who? For me?
No, for Matty.
I mean, like, I wasn't sure because, like,
I didn't realize we were keeping a running tally.
Look, at this point, I'm at like negative like 1,032 cool points. You know, I'm deeply in the red. If Alex Trebek was like judging this competition of cool points, he would give me a very snarky remark, and I would deserve it. Wow. I've been watching a lot of
I do live in California now, Southern California. So you're cool.
Thank you. How long have you been living in California?
Oh boy, I think 4 years, 3 years, 4 years.
Okay.
I left California and Chris moved there.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm so sorry.
I hope you enjoy taking my place.
It's been fine so far.
Yeah. I see that video. Okay, I see you post videos of like that dog on your neighbor's roof, and I just want to know if it's okay.
It's got to be okay because it's up there all the time, but then it's also not up there for great chunks of time. So it has like an easy way of getting up there. But it was very scary over the holidays. It was gone for like 2 weeks, and we were like, "Oh, the dog's dead." But we did recently. It's back. It's been back up there.
Thank God.
And my wife has seen the woman who owns the dog walking the dog around a few times, and my wife wants to say something, and I say, why? What would you say?
Speaking of things that may or may not be dead, let's talk about Weezer and their song,
Oh my god.
The
My
End of
God.
the Game.
Folks, what's with these homies talking about Weezer?
What is with those homies? I need to know, because just I think we need to do an intervention for Rivers Cuomo, because he's just putting out too many albums. The man just keeps going. It's like one year you hear like, oh, they're putting out a new Color album. Okay, that's fine. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh, we're doing a Van Halen.
He wants to be Van Halen and Guided by Voices, and I kind of appreciate it, but at the same time, it might be too much. It might be time to hang that one up.
And also AJR at the same time.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Look, folks, I'm just gonna say it. This is probably the best Weezer song that I've heard since the White Album. I'm gonna say it. All right, it is.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
That's not a controversial take.
It's serviceable. I'm not enthused.
What I wrote down, I just wrote down I'd pay to see this, and yeah.
Yeah, I've wrote down this is middle of the road Weezer, so I'm like not complaining. It's like not super memorable enough to stick in my head, but it's not, Pacific Daydream.
Yeah, I can't really get into Pacific Daydream, and I wonder if this is unethical of me. I wish if I should recuse myself, because I am friends with the Susie Shin who produced this record. We're not that close. We went bowling one time.
That's pretty close to me. That's pretty close to me.
Don't we all?
And then I was really bad at bowling, and she made fun of me on Instagram later about it.
Oh, no.
Like, to my face. So we're friends.
I think that gives you an she got one on you. I think it's time for you to put one on her. Eye for an eye.
Okay. Well, I like this song.
Really got her there.
Damn it, Chris.
Well, I hadn't listened to this record at all, and then I listened to this song. Was the first I'd heard from the record, and I knew Susie produced it, and the first word of the song is Susie, and I was like, oh wow, this is really on the nose for me in my life right now. And that's all I have to say. I prefer Weezer to sound like this than the weird 21 Pilots version of
Yes, and which we will discuss in various entries in the top 10 of which one of these bands sounds like 21 Pilots, which one of these bands sounds like Imagine Dragons, which one doesn't sound like either, for good or for worse. Actually, I forgot to mention that I was going to go through what you guys think the plays that these songs are getting. So both the Lana song and the Weezer song, they're both. I will give you the. I will give you the like sort of the base number, and then you kind of have to guess from there. So they're both in the 1100s. So you have to guess between 1100 and 1200 on where you think how many plays these songs have gotten on the radio. So, Lana Del Rey, how many times do you think this song was played on the radio this week?
Oh, 1150.
I'm going to give it like 4K.
Any
1100. 111.
I need a baseline here.
I gave you the baseline, 1100. I gave you 1100 to 1200.
Okay,
that's the baseline.
Knowing California, at least 5,000.
And
whenever it comes on, you don't know if it's the original or the Lana. So.
Yeah.
Okay, you all are terrible at this. We're not going to play this game. Chris was the closest. Chris, you were off by 2. It was 1152. Chris,
I feel like I was the only one who really understood the rules.
Yeah, because
I can't do math.
These folks, they don't like. Again, we're both in the music industry, Chris. We know these things. We know these Nielsen ratings. We know these things. They don't know any of this stuff. They don't understand numbers. Do you think they know how to do math?
I've never heard of numbers.
Exactly. So we're not going to guess for Weezer. We're just going to go straight into number 10, the unlikely candidates with Novocaine, and
This is the worst song I've ever heard in recent memory.
This is at the bottom of my ranking too.
This song is. I wrote little notes next to all the songs, and this one it just says "bad song" with a frowny face.
So
yeah,
I did was I went to the Spotify pages of all the artists here just to see like what their kind of monthly listeners counts are, and this band just, oh my god, some of their album covers and the singles, like actually they don't even have albums, just singles. There's one called Father Christmas, and I cannot describe how ridiculous it looks.
Oh no!
What?
Now I gotta look this up now. Jesus Christ!
Oh my dear Lord, that's my exact reaction looking at all this shit.
No.
Like,
oh god.
The only thing I wrote down for this is that it's the song Glycerine by Bush, but it's exclusively for a PlayStation commercial.
they look exactly what I think they look like.
Oh, yeah,
all I wrote down.
do.
It sounds familiar, but it's like every time I hear those drums in like a rock station song, I just get really upset.
It really reminds me of if anyone remembers Congos from a few years back.
Oh shit, that's what it reminded me of.
It is beat for beat like the same song.
Congos, but shitty.
I'm looking at the band picture, and like all these dudes, they either look like a clone of One Tricks Point Never, or they look like a clone of Mark Duplass, and all have like weird deformities in some ways.
All these people are made in an AI generator. Tell me otherwise.
Yes, that's the thing you could say for a lot of these songs and some of these bands. I give this the mark of it's not real, and this is one of those bands that's this is not a real band. This is not a real band. That's
also the song is not from an album. It's just like a random song.
Yeah, exactly. They literally only have singles on the Spotify page.
That's the weird, like that's a trend that like when I worked, so the reason I've been wanting to do this episode for a while is that I worked at my college radio station, which was basically a mainstream alt station, so I got to experience some of these bands and be like, oh, they have like 2 songs. Whose dad, who is the member who has the rich dad that lets them do this, that lets them sign to a major right away? Like, who is the ones getting away with this? Like, because they're not cutting their fucking teeth in the DIY scenes. Like, no, their dad runs like a fucking movie studio or something. Like, you remember the Calling? I'll go. Yes. So the dad of the lead singer was like the studio head for Full Moon Pictures, who did stuff like Demonic Toys and the Puppet Master series.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and that's how they got their they got their big break. Is that he lived next to like a record executive who discovered like Christina Aguilera and shit and signed them. It's great. There's like I said, this shit. It's not like a recent development. I want to think it's a recent development. Like no, obviously like nepotism is always a thing, but like it's so outwardly noticeable now because of the internet. It's just like, oh. Yeah, you're definitely doing some payola here. What's happening, folks? What's going on?
Yeah.
But I wrote a couple notes for this song. At some point, they mentioned like Left Side Brain, and that just makes me think of that terrible train song. And
yes,
thank you.
I wrote the same fucking note.
It's God. And this song, it sounds like if you combine like Imagine Dragons and Milky Chance, but without the commitment of like Imagine Dragons and not like the weird Germanness of Milky Chance. So it's like terrible. I also wrote that this is some low key Hinder ass shit. Lips from an Angel ass shit.
God.
Oh my god.
So I've been wanting to do this episode for a while, also because I've been developing a playlist called the 2000s didn't end until 2004, where I'm compiling like all these like alternative songs that I heard as a kid. It's very vast, and my god, I remember so much. There's some great stuff that's held up. Obviously, like Third Eye Blind, their self-titled album is fucking great, and there's got some of the best alt rock singles ever made. I'm not gonna lie. Counting Crows, they got some stuff that slaps. The Fray, they still slap.
Yo, Mr. Jones, I still remember all the fucking lyrics to Mr. Jones.
Matchbox 20, they kind of slap.
They got a lot of good songs.
They got a lot of slappers.
Yeah.
Lifehouse,
Bangers.
they got some slappers. No one wants to admit it, but Nickelback, They got a couple slappers. No one wants to admit it because it was the big Reddit thing to be like, oh, Nickelback is the worst band ever. No.
Yeah.
Because we're going to talk about a bunch of other worst bands on this list, including our number 9 entry, Catfish and the Bottlemen, To All, which I've known a lot about this band because this was my station manager's favorite band, and that makes me worry about him. Like, this is your favorite band? This algorithmically determined oasis? Like, this is your favorite band right now, sir? I
listened to this song like an hour ago and I can't remember anything about it.
You can say that for almost all these songs, honestly, except for the good ones, or I just don't remember. Except there's one really bad one, which we're gonna get to next. But this song, it's Stinky Doo Doo Diapers.
Pee pee poo poo.
Hell yeah!
It's like one of those bands that like Enemy would have ate the fuck up in the Britpop era, but right now it's all about like weird guitar gremlins, so they don't have any time for stuff like this. They do kind of, but it's like no, we're gonna focus on the guitar gremlins right now, but we'll give you guys some side coverage because we know that like you guys don't need us. The guitar gremlins need us. So let us focus on the guitar gremlins, and we'll slide you some stuff here and there, just so people know that you exist still in this country and aren't like a complete uninspired piece of garbage mess.
Oh my god!
Damn.
All I have to say about Catfish and the Bottlemen, it's really just like when the 1975 isn't putting anything out, people listen to Catfish and then they go back to the 1975. That's all I know.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, the kids go hard for Catfish, and I just don't get it.
Because it's for kids.
Damn kids these days. Can't believe it. Oh god. Okay, I'm really dreading talking about this next song. I don't kid when I say this. This might be the worst song that I've ever heard. It's one of the worst songs.
Sexy song?
Shade Trampoline. It's Shade.
You think this song is worse than Novocaine?
Yes, I think it's a lot worse.
Okay, Matt, it's not that bad.
No, okay, Chris, I want to talk to you about a phenomenon because you're in LA, you're in the music industry, you probably know people.
That's right.
I think a big phenomenon over the last, like, the biggest trend this decade for alternative music is the switch from sort of, like, basically post-grunge is fading out, the indie boom is fading out. Oh my god, who the fuck is listening to this stuff? How are we going to make money nowadays? So what do? You put your songs in commercials. This is not brand new. Songs have been in commercials forever. But, this decade, it's felt like, okay, like, jingles are just not really a thing anymore, you know? Like, it's fucking, like, 2.5 Men. The premise of it, like, Charlie Sheen, his character is, like, a jingle writer. That would not happen nowadays. There is no need for a jingle writer, you know? Like, Jesus Christ. So, all these bands, they realize, okay, shit, we're not making money off our record sales, we're not making money on touring, but we can make money on licensing, so let's make songs specifically to get put in commercials and just hope for the best. Is this like me going crazy, or is this like a thing that like you don't have to name names? Is this a thing that like you know that bands specifically do? Like they write a song and they go, okay, this one's going to be in a commercial and this can like help pay our rent for the next like couple months.
I think there's a part of a lot of bands who that a part of their like thought process is like I think in the best case scenario, like a band might be like, oh, maybe this, like once you're done with a song, you might think like, oh, it would be cool if this ended up in a commercial. But then of course there is definitely like people who just write songs specifically for commercials, and like that's like their jobs. I have a lot of friends who do that. Like, you know, they have their like their artist persona or whatever, and they like release music under that aesthetic, but they also will write songs for other people or for commercials, for pitching to commercials and stuff, and that will kind of like, you know, they won't really release that music. It'll just be like on a commercial or something like that.
Oh yeah, a few years ago I had a professor, and he he's had like albums released by like Merge Records and stuff, and like now he just like a side gig, he just does music for a bunch of commercials, including like stuff that's on the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, you potentially can make a lot of money doing it, but
yeah.
Because I feel like that's been a big determining factor for a couple of bands like who really broke through. It's like they got a song in a commercial, and then they were just like, it's just been blowing up from there. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes not intentionally. But this song, like, it is. I've had to hear like a lot of alternative songs in my lifetime, like because my college station, we do like music meetings, and so like a persistent thought was like, okay, this song is like, okay, these are real artists, and they want to write a song about like, something that happened in their life, and they want to talk about it in, via song form, or just sort of like, okay, they have like this idea and they want to kind of put it to music. But there's definitely times where it's like, okay, they wrote this song because they knew that they kind of were like, okay, this could fit in a commercial, and they just went from there. This is one of the most like blatantly obvious, like, we want this song to be in a commercial songs that I've heard. It is blatant, and it's almost insulting, because there's a song that's coming up next that's definitely like, okay, I could hear this in a car commercial, but like, it's still enjoyable on its own. But this is just like, oh yeah, like the drops and the sort of like specific sections. It's like, okay, this one could go in a MacBook commercial. This one can go into a car commercial for a 2019
This one is literally
Toyota.
in a laptop commercial.
Exactly, that's why I said that. This song is literally it is literally in a MacBook Air commercial. But
actually in a Microsoft commercial.
No, it's MacBook. It's MacBook.
It's in both?
I guess so.
Wow. All the computers.
Again, they're cornering the market. I'm gonna shut up.
Sounds like it's in the movie Sucker Punch.
I wrote highlight soundtrack.
Oh god.
I can't get over how this song has a remix from an artist who has literally no other material on Spotify, and their name is Sacred Salsa, spelled like the vaporwave way, like with spaces between every letter.
That's no.
That's honestly the best thing about this.
Oh god,
I like it.
I really despise the song. I really do, honestly.
It's fucking insidious.
It's really bad.
I had this stuck in my head all day at work today, and when I got on break, I saw that you had sent the playlist to the chat and thought that I was being like summoned into hell.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I did not mean for this. I did not mean for this.
I don't even have an active problem with it. It's just like a non-entity to me. Like, I listen to it and it just melts out of my brain immediately after.
I wish I could say the same. I really wish I could say the same. But it's insidious. It just gets stuck in your head and you hate it, and you go, "My God, what? How could they do this? How could you have done this to me, Shade?" And why do you spell shade like that? I know it's probably a copyright thing, but like Shade.
It's like
the around search algorithms.
It's like the algorithm fucked up. The algorithm, fucked up. Also, if you're gonna name your song Trampoline, no, you don't get to do that. Kiro Bonito made the best trampoline song that we're ever gonna get. So just don't even you can't top it. So just don't even trample on it. But they did, and this song is gonna be way more popular than that song, and it's a tragedy. And Osadam should pay the price. God, I'm sorry. I had to get on my soapbox for this one.
Yeah, you have to go off sometimes.
I gotta go off sometimes. I gotta go off.
Bonito, I'm so sorry.
Does anyone have any more thoughts on Shade's Trampoline before I have an aneurysm?
It's a boring ass pop song.
Yes, which is a trend.
I wrote sexy next to it. But I didn't really. I don't remember anything about it. I just remember thinking, this is a sexy little song. Not like I like it, but just like, I don't know. Some things are just sexy, even if you don't like them.
Okay, so I'm looking at the audience markers, and this has a weird disparity between some of the other ones. So, like, the Catfish song and the Unlucky Candidate song, they both have 3 million and then 3.5 million audience ranking, which is like, I think basically is like, this is how many people heard this song, on average. And this one is 5 million compared to our number 7 entry, which only has 3 million, which is Local Natives, When Am I Gonna Lose You? And when I heard this song, and I was like, oh wow, good for them. Good for these boys making it this high on the alternative charts. Hummingbird's a great record. I'm glad they're here. Gets a little too into the car commercial territory, but still, it's still a good song. It's good in spite of the fact that I could hear this in a commercial for 2019 Toyota, Hyundai, whatever new car they have.
Wait, so this list is
Yaris.
This song has less people have heard this song than the Trampoline?
And this week it seems so, yes, but it has more plays. It has more plays.
I see.
Huh.
Interesting.
So I think it's just sort of like all the charts, like they have a weird like how they weight certain things. So like the plays only weigh so much versus like how much the audience has heard it. So
right.
But like I said, I like this song. It's like I have not listened to Local Natives in a hot minute, and I was like, oh wow, this is pretty good. I maybe I should check out this band again because this is some good stuff. I hear this on the radio quite often, and I'm like, I'm glad to hear this on the radio. It is got some really nice, sweet melodies. He's a really good singer. The instrumentation is really nice and smooth, and it's not annoying at all. But it's really catchy.
Yeah, the harmony is super catchy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and it reminds me a lot of like the really good Broken Bells songs in the best way possible.
I hear that. Yes.
Yeah, it's a cute song, and I'm glad that it's not Real Estate.
I can't believe it's not Real Estate. Hey, it's for real estate.
Corinne has logged off.
All right. Does anyone have any more thoughts on this song? Because I think it's just a nice, pleasant song.
Yeah, for me, it's like, it's not even car commercial core. It's more that it's like very earnestly doing the whole arena rock core, but in a way that doesn't have any of the kind of cynicism or like profiteering behind it that like I hear in a lot of like modern alternative that tries to go for that. And so like to hear something just kind of feeling like a very straightforward on its face sort of approach to that, and that's refreshing. It's
good stuff.
It's nice. Nice song.
And then next, for a band that I'm very shocked is on this list, because if you told me like a year and a half, 2 years ago that like, oh yeah, this band's gonna be like one of the like big new things in alternative radio, I'd be like, no, like I couldn't even get one of their songs passed on my shitty college radio station. What do you mean? White Reaper might be right, which is at number 6, and good for these boys. Good for these boys. I like this song. It's really, I agree. It's really damn good, and it's like, oh shit, they're like big time now, and they at one point in time they could have been label mates with you guys over at Polyvinyl as they made the major label jump to Elektra. Someone at that label saw money in them, and they're like, hey, we're gonna put some money into you guys. We're gonna put you on the radio, and you know what? And we're not gonna compromise your vision too much. We're just gonna like polish you up just that little bit, just that little bit. But not too much. Yeah,
it's cool to hear, and I'm in no way any sort of like rock music purist or anything, but it's cool to hear rock music that is like produced at this high of a level, like that just has this much like money behind it, seemingly, or whatever, and just have like that kind of production, but also not, skirt to the whims of like the production techniques of pop music that like I feel like that is what just ends up happening to a lot of rock bands that get very big. They just stop becoming rock bands, which is fine. Whatever they want to do is fine with that. But I don't know. I just like this, and I literally had never listened to this band before, like a few weeks ago. And I just like them a lot. They remind me of the Exploding Hearts in a kind of a cool way.
Oh.
And yeah, I think they're cool.
Yeah, somebody who's been like a fan of them for several years, and I think Gavin can also attest to this. because we're both huge fans of like their earlier work, especially their self-titled EP from like 2014, which is literally just a perfect piece of rock music. Like they have been for the past few years just consistently like really killing it as a really good garage rock band. It's crazy to see them finally kind of take the level up into something that's like apparently very popular and palatable to a lot of other people. It's very fun to see.
Yeah. Bad joke. White Reaper does it again. So
they really
it's just good.
It's
they
true,
really
though.
be doing it again though. They really be doing it again though.
Doing it again twice.
They're doing it again twice. I want to say it for the song. It does something that is not a pet peeve. It still sounds like White Reaper. It still has that kind of garage rock core, but with like some more money in it. But it doesn't like abandon what made White Reaper good. Like all the elements that made this band good are still here. There's just some more money in it. You definitely hear a higher production quality.
Right.
But one of my biggest pet peeves with like Modern Alternative is like hi-fi lo-fi, which is like a concept I made up where they're trying to like use like lo-fi aesthetics and sounds, but it's so clear that there's too much money in it, and the people that are making it have like they're not even trying to. It's like this is like okay, you know what, this band, knowing this band, it's like yeah, they probably did this on like fucking analog and they put it out there. Unlike the bands who try to do like sort of the garage arena rock type stuff. That just sounds terrible. It's just terrible production where it's just like, let's put this terrible fucking guitar filter on my thing. It makes it sound like we're in the 70s. Whoa. And it's like, no, stop that. You want to sound like you're in the 70s.
No garage rock disrespect allowed on my watch.
But we know it's hi-fi and we know they're lying.
Exactly. It's like watching like terrible CGI in a movie. Like you're watching a CGI character move when there's like real people around.
If you compare garage rock to Cats, I will come through the computer and just
I was not gonna do that, but you're tempting me. It's like it's like Uncanny Valley music. That kind of sound. It's not the most Uncanny Valley, but
garage
it's in
rock
there.
band will ever have a name as bad as Bustopher Jones. Okay.
What?
We're not gonna talk about Cats. We're not going to talk about Cats. If there's any movie that we talk about on this podcast, we're going to talk about those fucking gems, baby. The goddamn gems. Uncut gems.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, those gems, meaning those jellicle cats that we all know and love, were gems on the screen.
Gavin, I'm going to boot you from the call. Okay, we are halfway, we're over halfway through this chart, so you know what? Fuck it. Uncut Gems interlude. Let's talk about those motherfucking gems, baby. Woo.
Julia Fox's ass. Julia Fox's ass.
She said it. I did it. She said it. I did it.
Wait, Diamond, get on the podcast.
God,
you feeling those gems?
I love this movie so much. There's a different scene of this movie that I think about every day. The one that's been on my mind the most recently was after Howard gets beat up. He's crying in his office. And, Julia Fox is trying to cheer him up. He's like, I'm a piece of shit. He's like, just drooling. Like, I'm so sad. I'm suck. It's like wonderful acting from the Sandman. Just like, wow. I'm so fucked up too, bro. He did that. And then, of course, the reveal that Adam Sandler unzips Julia Fox's skirt to reveal Howard, which is Adam Sandler's character's name.
No, it says Howie.
Howie, tattooed, and like those like shitty shirts you get at the beach, the airbrush ones. It's like one of those. Yeah. It's amazing. And then he's like, "Oh, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve this. Oh, we can't get buried anymore together." Oh, God.
Oh yeah, that I love that.
So good.
God,
go see it.
Oh, okay.
If you want.
If
you want a movie to give you anxiety, go see it.
Yes. So I'm gonna go around the panel for everyone who has seen it. I think, has everyone here seen the gems?
I have.
Yes.
Okay, this is good. Okay, who is your favorite guy in the gems? Who's your favorite side character, cameo? Who's your favorite guy? Who's your favorite guy in the movie?
Just one
You could now this could be multiple guys because there's definitely situations where you can say like multiple guys. Because
the guy he gives like the fake watch to.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say that.
I kind of expected that guy to end up like killing Adam Sandler or something. I thought that was where everything was heading. That like minor character would just like lose his shit at one point.
No, the fucking curly ass motherfucker, Three Stooges ass.
They're like twins.
That's your muscle?
I'm gonna say him now just so nobody else takes him. Wayne Diamond.
Oh. God.
That man is so much. Like, he's literally on screen for like 3 scenes, and every one of them you're just like, who is this guy?
Oh god.
What's the guy that plays like Howard's like brother, cousin? I don't know.
Are you talking to Arno? Or
talking to Bagazian?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I love that guy, but also that Three Stooges motherfucker. I was just expecting him to just pop off.
I am recently coming around to Bagazian's henchman, who has like that raspy bad guy voice, who is like legit like that IRL.
Nice.
It's scary.
Since Chris said my boys, I'm gonna say I think I gotta think about this for a second. It's probably Yussie, the jeweler that was working for him, that's like yelling at Howard, like, they tore up my shirt, they ripped my shirt. I've worked for you for 8 years. What are you doing? You can't treat me like this. All these guys in the block, they want me to work for them. You're gonna miss me. And then like Adam Sandler's not listening because he's too focused on the uncut gem, the titular uncut gem. And he's like, I'm gonna come. And he's just like, oh my god. And he just walks out. He quits his job. It's great. Love that boy.
Yeah.
I'm out here getting yelled at. You're here digging up fish.
They're good gems, Yussie. They're good gems.
And he's an actual jeweler. I can't believe it.
Yes, there's a video of him talking about show. There's him talking about the Iran thing on his Instagram. I didn't watch it yet because I'm like scared.
Oh no, the turn that takes, it's kind of weird.
Oh god. Okay. Okay, let's get back to the charts. We had our fun little Jim's interlude. We got it out of our system. This one actually, I think I'm the most excited to talk about this one with you, Chris, because you have real opinions on this, and I want to pick your brain because you said a point about this on Twitter recently that I was like, yeah, he's right. Like, this is gonna happen. So number 5, Billie Eilish, All the Good Girls Go to Hell. You love the album this is on, which is,
I do.
What's the name of it again? It's like really
When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go?
Thank you. And you made a really good point about this album, and really like Billie Eilish in general, that like in like the next year or so, everyone is going to try to sound like her. Like everyone is going to try their best to sound like her. For good or for worse, everyone's going to try.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool when something comes along that just feels so new, because it feels so rare for music to feel new or not. Like, I mean, obviously she has her like inspirations, and like she in some ways sounds like other people, but just like the distillation and the vibe of this record is just so unique to me. Like, I think when I made that tweet or whatever, a lot of people were like, what about Lorde? And I get that there's some comparison to be made, but I just think Billie Eilish's record is just so very specific, and like, I don't know. The songs are really good, and the production is really, it's like modern, but it doesn't feel like it's like, oh, we have to do this because this is popular right now. We have to do this because this is popular. It just feels very like natural. It feels like, you know, two very young people who just want to make music.
Right, like her brother produced this record pretty much, right?
Yeah.
I actually got the chance to speak with Rob Cavallo last year, and also Gerard Way, which is cool. But he mentioned Billie Eilish while we were talking, and he just said it's like in the industry and stuff, like they look for something that's, you know, big and different, and you know, obviously it's going to make money. And whenever, I don't know, we were talking about Billie Eilish, he said something along the lines of like her being so fucking special and everything that she does being so different and good. And it's like, sure, yeah, kind of pop music all sounds the same, but like this one, it sounds the same, but it's also like very set aside from everything else because, you know, it's different in like the best way possible.
Yeah. And she doesn't have like, I mean, there are choruses in her songs, but like her songs never just feel like inevitable in like corny ways, you know? They always feel like, oh wow, this is like not where I expected this to go, but I like it, you know?
Oh yeah, like there's a lot of little touches about these songs. Like I think the one thing about the production that I notice a lot is like there's that just crushing like low end on everything on all of her songs, and like it's really well produced, especially in that range. And then like these little tiny details that you can just like barely notice. Like if you're listening in like car speakers, they're invisible. Yeah. But like otherwise it's just really delicate. And then the second thing is good Lord, the trailer sinks this album like the movie sinks this is going to get, because I've already heard like
it's already in the Saint Maud trailer, I think.
Yeah, like that was the specific one I was going to mention. I heard a slow dramatic version of this song. I was just like, I do not remember it being nearly this bad.
Yeah. I would say of the songs on the record, this is not one of my favorite songs. I do like this song, but it's not like one of the best songs on the record. But in a good way, it reminds me of Lily Allen, that one Lily Allen record.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh. I love that record. Like Smile, I think is that record. And this song kind of gives me some of that feel.
Mm-hmm. I still have not hopped on the Billie Eilish train. I'm still afraid to hop on the train. I still feel very weird.
Coward.
I will listen to this album eventually. I should have listened to it this year, but like I wasn't super. I think Bad Guys, it's a song that I have different opinions on it every single time I listen. My opinion changes every single time. It's like, oh wow, this song's like actually kind of good, versus then I listen to it again, I'm like, I don't know, this feels weird. It's like weird. It's like she gives me weird ASMR tingles, and I just don't like that. I don't like this song. Does not have a lot of those. Bad Guy has a shit ton of those, and that bothers me a ton. But this one doesn't have those as much. It's a bit more of like it's as traditional of a pop song as we're probably gonna get from Billie Eilish. Maybe it's still hard to say. Because like it's just like, oh yeah, like it's the same thing with Lorde. Whenever Lorde blew up, it's like, oh, if she disappears for like like many years, like Lorde did, where Lorde after Pure Heroin disappeared for like 5 years pretty much. If she does the same, holy goddamn shit, we're gonna hear a lot of people trying to imitate this record to no avail. There's gonna be a lot of people. You know, the thing with Nirvana, whenever of course they blew up, they killed a lot of careers when they blew up. There's a lot of artists who are in that like emergent alternative scene that just like lost their careers because they just couldn't make that transition to like heavier grunge sounds, or whenever it came time, whenever grunge kind of died out, they just couldn't come back into it because they'd taken so long. This is gonna be like one of those things where it's like, okay, we're gonna hear about a lot of new artists that are trying to sound like her. Like whenever Lorde blew up and then of course she disappeared, we got like Halsey, Alessia Cara.
Oh, good Lord.
I'm trying to think of who else. Who was that girl that was on the Chainsmokers song and then had that like really awful song about like I'm not
Halsey.
gonna. No. A different Chainsmokers song. But
is that Daya?
There's other
Daya,
chains.
yes, thank you. Daya, thank you.
Yogurt?
God. Anyways, I'm gonna pick everyone's brain really quick before we get to the next song. What is everyone's thoughts on the song "Closer" by the Chainsmokers?
Which one is that? Is that the Coldplay guy one?
No, it's all Halsey.
Like that's literally just the entire song is just that.
As a retail employee, I am scarred.
closer.
I'm.
Right. It's like, so baby, hold me closer
in the backseat
like I said,
of your Rover. There's a lot of songs that sound like that. The one with Coldplay sounds exactly like that.
It's, on one hand, I admire their audacity to just take the absolute, like, basic, most, like, ear-bleeding parts of, like, the EDM rise that they were, like, at the pinnacle of, and just cranking them up until it was, like, at near parodical simplicity. On the other hand, if I never hear that song again, it'll be too soon.
Oh, God. Okay, anyways, number 4, we got another cover from Meg Myers doing a cover of Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill, which... this one, what my notes for this one? This song, it's fine, you know.
It's a little too much of a cover of the song.
Yeah, it
feels like if you told me that, like, oh, they're making a Kate Bush movie and Meg Myers is playing Kate Bush and this song is on the soundtrack, I'd be like, oh, that makes sense. But without that, it doesn't make sense.
They done Teal album did.
It's got those weird like those weird like vocoder voices in place of like just normal background vocals.
Oh, good God.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that throws me off so much, is like everything else is like kind of normal. It's just like, oh, this is a nice, pleasant, straight cover, and then there's those weird vocals.
Rose, here's the thing. I kind of like the weird chopped up vocal samples. Like, I don't know. I kind of like them.
I didn't write anything about those, so I assume that that like it didn't bother me. Like, here's the thing with this song. Whenever this comes on the radio, and it gets played on the radio a lot, I like it because it resembles good music. It resembles good music. I listen to this and I go, wow. I don't think this is good music. I go, wow, this resembles good music. Because, like, it isn't the real thing. It ain't running up that hill. It's not the real song. Just play the real song at that point. But I think it's a good cover. I think it's fine. I think vocally it's a great cover vocally. I think Meg Myers has a very good, powerful voice. But instrumentally,
but she doesn't. She's like doing her act like she's like doing an impression of Kate Bush, like vocally, which is kind of strange to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's not like she's.
You're not wrong. British. You're not wrong, but I don't mind that per se.
My thing is that I feel like it understands the core components of what makes the instrumental work while also kind of draining it of all of its like soul. And that's it's fine in that it like emulates a good framework, but it just doesn't feel like it's doing enough or different with it to like really kind of get the weird idiosyncrasies with Kate Bush.
Mm-hmm. It definitely it falters under that hi-fi lo-fi problem that I mentioned earlier. It's definitely like, okay, like it doesn't perfectly recreate the instrumental. It's trying to like update it in a modern way, but like there's so many there's so much shit out there. There's so many cool synth plugins and instrumental shit that you can use, and you go with like some stuff you found on FL Studio. You know, you got Ableton out there. You got so many patches and shit you can use. I'm not even a music like gear tech guy, and even I know like you could find some really cool synth patterns that you just didn't use for some reason. You know, but like I think like Meg Myers, I think like she carries the song vocally. I think she has a great voice. I think she sounds great in the song. Yes, it sounds, you know, she's trying to do her Kate Bush impression. This is like if you're, you know, doing a Kate Bush biopic. Meg Myers would be a very good person to play the role of Kate Bush, just on the voice alone. It's like, oh, wow, she sounds a lot like Kate Bush. You know, that's pretty cool. Because it's like, don't do the Bohemian Rhapsody shit. Like, just, that's, like, I didn't see Bohemian Rhapsody, but I heard it was terrible, and I don't want to watch it because it's like, one, it looks terrible, and two, Bryan Singer is, he's Bryan Singer. But I did see Rocket Man, and I really appreciated Rocket Man because they didn't, you know, it's like oh, it's actually Taron Egerton singing. It doesn't sound exactly like or Elton John, but like
wow.
Holy shit.
Wow. Let's get his ass.
Look,
my God.
Look, that Chrissy Teigen Parasite tweet is the discourse has been annoying me all day, so it's on my mind. Okay, so John Legend is on my mind.
What's that? I missed that.
Oh, she just said that she really liked Parasite.
And then a bunch of leftists on Twitter got mad.
In Parasite.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of stupid. It's just like, yeah, like rich people like this movie, like duh, like it's a fucking great movie. What the fuck? Like, yeah, like come on. It's like rich people can like stuff that talks about class. Do they understand
Let
it?
rich people enjoy things.
Let rich people let
maybe
them
they
enjoy
understand
things. Look, and here's the thing. It's like, look, if Chrissy Teigen is an Academy voter and she loves that movie, you motherfuckers, let her love that movie because it better win fucking Best Picture this year at the goddamn Oscars. Where I swear to God.
What about Elton John?
What about what?
Just
Rocket Man's gonna win Best Picture, obviously. Come on, look at these charts.
These graphs, I've drawn them all up.
I didn't see Rocket Man, but I just ended up seeing Elton John. Did I miss something?
You missed like the story part. There was kind of a story to it. There was a little bit of performances as well.
Okay.
I don't fucking.
Is going on Wikipedia the same?
And at the end, he's a guest on a talk show, and he kills the talk show host.
Wow.
I think you're getting some movies mixed up. No, I don't remember.
No,
that doesn't sound like something.
I 100% remember Joaquin Phoenix playing Elton John. Okay.
That's right.
Loki, he would kill it.
In what Ricky Gervais is calling the performance of the year.
I don't know what that guy's going to say at the Golden Globes, but I got my earplugs on freaking standby, baby.
If he says one mean thing about a celebrity, I'm turning the TV off.
He's gonna walk up on the stage and be like, "Oi, this is funny, yeah?"
And he better admit that there's a God. Once and for all.
When Ricky Gervais, when he picks up that mic at the Golden Globes, he's gonna say it. He's gonna say the word, and that's all you need to know. He'll say it.
I think that right before they give out Best Picture, they should baptize Ricky Gervais.
Oh, he'll melt.
Oh God, what an embarrassing human being. What a like a despicable little slime ball. Like,
I agree.
What a terrible little rat. He's a little rat. He's a little mole.
Sniveling worm.
Little worm. You make one good television show 20 years ago, and you just coast from there. For some reason,
he also had a pretty good radio show, but that was like 90% because of Carl.
Yeah, it's like he has like 3 or 4 Netflix shows.
They're all bad,
and I don't really are. I know he plays like a special needs person in one of them, which is like,
oh yeah,
that's not no. Like Netflix, like early Netflix originals is like a weird fucking time. Like there's some weird shit. They're like, wait, what? This was a show they like made themselves, and you're like, yeah, that's the thing they did. Like their first show was about like an Italian mobster that had to go under like witness protection and lived in like they moved to like Sweden to get under witness protection.
Yeah, it's got the friggin' guy from Sopranos and Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce Springsteen, what?
Lilyhammer.
Yeah. Oh,
that's what it's called.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways,
Little Steven.
Wow, we went off there.
Oh boy. Okay, we need to get back on track. And we need a good pilot. We might need 21 of them to get us back on track. As number 3.
How will they all fit into cockpit?
Number 3 is 21 Pilots, The Hype, which I like. When I heard this, I was like, oh, they have a new single out, and then I like checked the info, and I was like, oh, this is from an album from like 2 years ago. Really milking this one out, aren't they?
I mean, it's not their fault that they have nothing new going on. Their label's just got to do something for them, I guess.
I mean, yeah. And that, I mean, that's a trend that you notice with the like alternative is that like the stuff that stays on the charts is like old as fuck. Within like our low attention spans, it's old as fuck. Like, obviously that Doing Time, it's been on the charts for 32 weeks. It's been around forever. The Meg Myers song has been on for 38 weeks. and this 21 Pilots song has been on for 24 weeks, and it's only now peaking at number 3. Like, it's only just now here. Like, what's going on here?
And this is like the 5th single from this album, isn't it? Like, yes. I would have to look, but it seems like it is like on the back end of the label priorities at that point.
It's really stretching it thin. The thing that I want to know is, like, what is it that, like, took it this long for it to climb up here? What has, like, for this particular song, people coming back and being like, oh, this is what makes this, like, we need to push it all the way up to 3.
People just looked at themselves and said, I think it's time we start listening to 21 Pilots again.
As somebody that didn't really like 21 Pilots a lot, I don't know, Trench, it was all right. It's not horrible.
It's fine.
But it's still off of Fueled by Ramen, and that label just kills musicians, honestly.
I mean, again, they're the kings of milking albums. Like, they will milk you to your fucking dry. Like, I'm pretty sure that, like, Panic at the Disco is still putting out singles for the album they dropped, like, 2 years ago. Like, they're just milking it. They're just really milking that shit, But for this song itself, we're not talking about the milking. We're talking about the music. How does it hold up on its own? I did not think this was 21 Pilots at first. I was like, who is this 21 Pilots ripoff? And then I looked and I was like, oh, it's 21 Pilots. It's just like, even as bad as I thought Blurry Face was, it's a very interesting album. It's very clear that when you listen to them, it's like, okay, like, they have this concept and they are 100% in on it. And it's like, I respect that. I think it's terrible, but I respect it. But this just, like, this song feels so limp compared to, like, the singles off of Blurry Face.
The lyrics are so stupid. I'm reading them right now, and they're so bad.
You want to give us some highlights?
So there's 2 verses, and then the rest of it is just the same thing over and over again, basically. So the first verse is, sometimes I feel cold, even paralyzed. My interior world needs to sanitize. I've got to step through or I'll dissipate. I'll record my step through for my basement tapes. Okay, I don't know what that means. And then the next verse is, yeah, they might be talking behind your head. Your exterior world can step off instead. It might take some friends and a warmer shirt, but you don't get thick skin without getting burnt. So it really feels like the only, like, criteria lyrically they have is that it rhymes. Because that is really the only connecting tissue of these sentences. They don't really make any sense to me.
That's really how that's really how they write songs. It's really just, like, lyrically they just, like, what rhymes, and we'll just go for it. And maybe it'll come together, like, cohesively, and maybe it won't. At least Blurry Faces felt like they were like, okay, it's very clear that Tyler Joseph has this thesaurus out, and he's like, okay, gotta find some rhymes. Let's look at this thesaurus. Yeah. But, like,
also, oh, that was loud. Another thing is apparently they have, like, really deep, like, lore or whatever.
Oh yeah,
like, their fans are really into digging into that. And it's just like, oh my god, how can you translate any of this?
I'm sure the lore comes after the source.
Oh yeah, probably true.
God, I had one final note for this. Like, this song, and maybe not the album because I haven't heard the album, but this song, it feels more like a contractual obligation than a song. It feels like, okay, we have this many songs left on our contract. Let's just bust them out. We're just gonna just go for it. Okay, this all rhymes. This kind of sounds like a song. This resembles music. Let's do it. Like, does anyone remember those Gabriel Gundacker vines? Guy who listens to music.
Yes.
Oh, I haven't seen those, but I love that guy.
He's great. Basically, the gimmick is that, like, he's a guy who listens to music, but he has no idea what it is. Like, he's like, I love this sweet music. What? The song isn't playing? Oh, okay. It's great stuff. It's good stuff. And that's kind of what this song makes me feel like. It's just like, is this music? Love that sweet music. Love it. But yeah, this song, it's kind of doo-doo, and it's like 21 Pilots. When Blurryface was blowing up, they were so much fun to hate. It was like, wow, look at these doofuses. What are they doing? You're doing Stressed Out. You're writing songs like this like, you're doing these like stupid vocal effects, and you have like blacked out arms. What are you doing? You're writing COD reggae. What are you doing? This is ridiculous. You're white and you're Christians. What
Take
are you
off
doing?
Those ski masks, children.
Take off those ski masks. I will say there is, I don't remember the name of it, but there is one that's like, oh god, off their second or third album, the one before Blurryface, that's like especially terrible. It is one of the worst songs. Yeah, it's off Vessel, and I'm trying to remember which one it is. I gotta.
Car Radio?
Yes. Oh my fucking god.
It's the biggest song.
It's terrible. It's really fucking bad. Car Radio is embarrassing. Like, like, you go on YouTube and you search up white rapper, that's like the first result you're gonna get. Like, here is this kid who just found out about Immoral Technique and was like, or Immoral Technique Dance with the Devil, they're like, whoa, and they try to write that. And for some reason it was put on an album that was released to mainstream audiences. It was a big commercial hit. And people just ate it up. What's wrong? What's wrong with America today? I don't know. Although I will say, as bad as Stressed Out and Right are, I've come around to Heathens. I've come around to it. I think it is fine, which is saying a lot because it's on the Suicide Squad soundtrack, which is a monstrosity. Oh my god! What a monstrosity of a movie! What a wonderful, terrible film!
The Oscar-winning film.
Oh
Suicide
god!
Squad.
Oh yeah! And fucking. Oh, god. Oh, thank you for reminding me.
The first 20 minutes of what's the new Star Wars movie called?
Rise of
Skywalker.
Reminded me of Suicide Squad.
Oh god, that weird exposition rush where you're just like, gotta get going.
Yeah, it was so fast paced, and then thankfully it like kind of slowed down and got a little bit more palatable. But yeah, it was very strange. But yeah, that's all of Suicide Squad is like. There's a scene is no longer than like 15 seconds long.
It's just like, oh shit, we got all these artists of these songs for the soundtrack. We gotta throw them in the movie. Here's Grimes for like a minute.
All these characters, one at a time with a song, like another movie that just came out. I'm not gonna say its name, but we all think about those skeletons.
Anyways, so of course, as we've discussed, Suicide Squad is not a real movie. It's not real. It's fake. It is a CIA psyop. And speaking of CIA psyops, this next song is by a band called Abso Facto, who I am refusing to believe is real, and their song Dissolve. Oh, I know this band isn't real because I literally cannot recall a second of it. Okay?
This song is not real.
Look, I know bands, okay? I know bands. I think I know a lot about bands, okay? I've listened to them, all right? I know when they're real, and I know when they're not real. And this is not a real band. This is just...
I listened to this twice today, and the only thing in my notes is they're really trying to be Portugal the Man. And that is like the only discerning thing that helps me remember anything. Otherwise, this song just does not exist. It's you click play, and it's just white noise.
Wow. No, I don't remember anything about it. They have only less than 4,000 followers on Twitter.
Hang on, they have, in comparison, 2 million monthly listeners on Spotify.
Wow.
How many singles? How many albums are we talking? How much do we got?
No albums, just singles and EPs.
This is pure staying power.
And like half of them are fucking remixes.
Their top 3 songs: "Dissolve," the single, "Dissolve Acoustic," and "Dissolve J Broadway Remix."
Oh no, Dissolve Acoustic.
The Nocturne.
I can't imagine what that sounds like because those samples are like the most. In the first 5 seconds, they're like the most exciting thing about it, and then it just turns into a non-entity.
Oh, I skimmed it earlier. It sounds like a Chainsmokers song, the acoustic version.
Oh god. Wait.
Not in a fun way.
Okay, I'm looking at the EP, which by the way, the song came out 2 years ago. So this is like some Lizzo type shit where a song gets big like a few years later. There is no label. It literally just has the copyright sign, the P sign, and then 2017, and that's it. There is no label attached to this band.
But if you go to absofacto.com,
of course.
it says official website of Atlantic Records alternative pop music artist Abso Facto.
So yeah, this now it seems like what happened is that this band, they must have self-released this EP, and then the label found them and then re-released this song, which is that's my best assumption. But also, we have to consider this is not a real band. They are not real. No. This is not a real band. I have never met anyone who has listened to Abso. There are 1.9 monthly listeners, and I can tell you there's no real fans out there. It's literally all like Atlantic has farms set up where they just they have like 24 people in a server room just listening to this song on repeat just to bump up those stream numbers, and it's not real. No one listens.
It's like
to
that scandal
band.
Somebody found a couple weeks ago. Somebody like on fucking Reddit found out that people's Spotify accounts were getting hacked and were just making playlists that would just play this French Montana single like over and over. And it literally got bumped up in the charts because of that.
Look, that definitely sounds like a French Montana thing to do. I would expect it more from like TJX6. That would be a thing I would expect him to do, just to scam a bunch of Spotify accounts and then like bump up Dynamic Duo 2 featuring Kasher Kwan, which deserves to be the #1 song in America. It's amazing.
Oh man, Dark Web is where it's at.
Dark Web is pretty great. Chris, do you have any idea who we're talking about?
No.
That's what I thought.
I'm still reading about Abso Facto over here.
Oh damn! I just went on Abso Facto's websites. They don't have any upcoming tour dates, guys. I think I'm just gonna have to go see Chris instead.
They're not real.
Thank you.
They're not real.
And how stupid do you have to be to be a band called Abso Facto and not have an FAQ section on your website? Abso Facto FAQs.
Is there
most commonly asked question? What the fuck does your name mean?
Okay, I'm looking at the Google search. It says Atlantic Records alternative pop music artist Abso Facto. This is very clear. Like it is a label creation. It's not a real. It's like literally it's computer algorithm. It's like they put the entire 21 Pilots discography. They told a robot to listen to the entire discography 1,000 times, and Abso Facto is what popped out. And he is Atlantic Records alternative pop music artist Abso Facto. That's what we're going to call him now. We're not going to call him Abso Facto. We're calling him Atlantic Records alternative pop music artist Abso Facto. That's the full name.
I found a Q&A with him.
Oh, boy.
Oh, they're real?
Yeah, he is a real person because he was able to answer like 10 questions with this website.
Oh.
What website?
How did you
first? Is this a Turing test?
It's some website called
Crisis Actor.
I've never heard of it.
Atlantic Records Crisis Actor.
Your career really blew up with your hit song, with your hit single Dissolve. Did you expect that song to take off the way it did? A close friend of mine loves to remind me that when I first made it, I sent it to him and said that this was a special one, but I never expected it to be lifted to the heights it's currently reaching. The way visual creators have made their song their own across so many platforms, traveling from AMVs to Flipnote to aesthetic edits to TikTok, has been stunning to watch.
What a branded content answer that was.
Well, of course, he's Atlantic Records alternative pop music artist Abso Facto.
Oh my god!
I'm on his Twitter right now.
I'm looking at a picture of him. He looks like
these
an
answers
off-brand
are like
James Blake.
so robotic. Like I like every song to have 3 main elements: a sense of place, particular emotion behind it, and some kind of metaphor conceit to give it unique color.
Folks, is this man's a robot, or is he Patrick Bateman, or is he both? I'm thinking. So I'm on his Twitter. His pinned tweet, which is a new song, only has 29 retweets. This man has the second most popular alternative song in the country right now. 6.6 million people have heard this song this week. It has gotten 2,333 plays this week. And yet, 29 retweets for his new song that came out back in November. So it's had plenty of time.
It's had its room to breathe.
He somehow has he had somehow the Alt Nation #1 song of 2019. What? Okay, we gotta stop because we're going down a really deep rabbit hole.
Deep fucking dive.
This is Factogate.
He made some sort of TikTok thing that I can't tell if it's like fake viral because it's just a bunch of people like who are hired to do
the
it.
Dance.
It's essentially like a dance thing.
Oh, of course.
Wow.
Oh my god, we need to get to something like more normal, something comforting and kind of like average, I guess, which is what Coldplay's whole deal is.
Look,
I think.
Folks,
here we go.
I gotta again. Can I or can I not Mayor Pete dance to the Abso Facto song?
No.
Then it's not for me, folks. It's not for me. But
I think you can do it with this next one.
Yes. But speaking of people who just fucking love Mayor Pete, probably Coldplay, and they have the #1 alternative song in the country called "Orphans," and I know I joked around. I threw a little jab, but you know what? This song, it's pretty decent. It's
Coldplay rocks. Y'all need to admit it.
I haven't listened to most of their stuff, so like I can't personally judge. But like I heard this song and I was like, wow, this is very fun.
They got slappers, bro. They got a lot of slappers.
I know. I gotta go to their old stuff. You know, just really like dig in eventually.
Like,
Parachutes. So good.
Parachute's so good.
Milo Zyloto, the fucking Death and All His Friends or whatever that one is called.
Yeah. I'm with Chris and Corinne. This is a pro Coldplay safe space for this.
Thank you.
I didn't get into the record where they were like Planet of the Apes.
The one where they were monkeys?
Yeah, I didn't really like that record.
Wait, what?
Wait, that was the whole album? I thought it was the video.
No, it's just a video, but that's what I identify that period. Very strange. And the songs, I didn't like any of those songs, but on this new record, I find myself liking a lot more of it than I have. Wow.
Yeah, I listened to it like 4 or 5 times, and I was like, this is a really pleasant album. They're doing a lot of weird stuff here, like stuff that I would not expect, but I guess that's the privilege you get when you're like a career band at this point.
Yeah, I think they've finally grown into a place where they like know how to use their maximalism best, and it's like it really feels like after I had tuned out of Coldplay like somewhere around the beginning of the decade, and like this might honestly bring me back in.
Yeah, I honestly big fan of Coldplay. I won't lie, I saw them live. It was really cool, and like. You know, it's just, they write fun music. It's very safe pop music, but it's also like, it's actually really good.
Yeah.
And also, like, come on, the bass line in this song, fuck you if you don't like it.
Yeah, and the guy who plays bass in Coldplay, his name is Guy Berryman. Which is
that is somehow like the second best bassist name I've ever heard. Because #1 in my heart will always be reserved for The Edge.
Guy Rupert Berry.
God.
Yes, that's right.
I will say with this song, it's fun. It's pretty fun. I will say, like, I feel like since they lost Eno as like their main producer, they've been a little bit lost. They've been just being like, okay, we'll just be like a pop band, I guess. And it's made some pretty good songs. And I'm hearing good things about the album. I won't listen to it, but you know what? Good for y'all who like the album. I'm gonna believe y'all, but I just, you know, I got other things to do. But I will say, if there's anything here about the song I don't like, that fucking woohoo vocal melody, I fucking hate it. It's terrible.
That turned it into a Disney live action end credits song.
It did, and it's not. I'm not having it. It's still a good song.
Commercials.
Yeah.
it's a little too weird to be in a car commercial. It's got a little bit of a weirdness that I don't think would fit in a car commercial. I think like Coldplay, like they're beyond that because they're just so well known, you know? Like they can't be a car commercial band because like your mom knows about them, you know? Like does your mom know who fucking Shade is? No. Does your mom know who Local Natives are? Maybe a cool mom, but probably not my mom. My mom's like, she's like going to be 60 this year. She doesn't know who Local Natives are. She's never heard of Local Natives. But as my mom heard of
what
Coldplay,
an idiot.
Come on, Mom, get better taste.
But my mom has heard of Coldplay, and she probably loves Coldplay. If I talk to my mom about Coldplay, if a Coldplay song came on the radio and I try to like conversate with her about it, she would probably be like, yeah, I love Coldplay. And I'd be like, oh, that's sweet. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Coldplay
Max,
is good mom car.
Max Martin is one of the writers of this song.
Ah.
Mega songwriter.
Makes sense.
Baby, one more time. I want it that way. It's gonna be me. I kissed a girl.
Oh God.
I can't feel my face from The Weeknd. Star of Gems.
And under the whole nightclub sequence. Yeah.
I heard that
when the Weeknd gets a little when the Weeknd gets a little horny on screen for Julia Fox, which is like, you know, haven't we all gotten a little horny for
a
Julia
little
Fox?
Horny?
A little.
They have sex. That's as horny as you can get, I think.
They didn't look. They didn't have sex. She just touched his dick. I think. She just. I think that's all I did. I think he just touched his dick. Anyways, before we wrap up this podcast, I have very, very good news. Succession won the Golden Globe for Best TV Drama, folks.
Yeah,
we fucking did it. We fucking
Parasite
did it.
also won.
All right, spoilers. I'm gonna watch it soon. I'm in Hollywood, baby. So
you gotta get down there as soon as possible.
It's in the theater, Chris.
Get there.
You gotta go for it. But anyways, that is the songs of the top 12 of the Alternative National Airplay Billboard chart. Issue date January 4th, 2020. There's so many bands that we didn't get a chance to talk about because they didn't make it into the top 12. You know, obviously Suburban, not a real band.
Excuse me.
Tones and I, Dance Monkey. I fucking hate that song. I would have loved to force that onto all of you. Highly Suspect, who is unfortunately a real band. There's more Billie Eilish songs. Matt Mason,
another Shade song,
another Billie Eilish song of Monsters and Men. They're still around. Young Blood, who is who frightens me. He's my sleep paralysis demon. AJR. Oh man, we could have talked about AJR, but they're down at the bottom.
A lot of Lumineers.
They're still kicking. Foles is on here. I was shocked to see Foles. I was like, oh wow, they're like
they've made a hard pivot to radio pop in like the last album. I don't know what happened, but it was weird.
It happens sometimes. It happens.
Matt,
yes.
Youngblood, Halsey, and Travis Barker. How do you feel about that?
I wanna. Is there a window I can jump out of if I'm in that room?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Then I'm gonna jump out the window. I don't care.
I'm so sorry.
I like. Here's the thing with Halsey. I have a complicated relationship with Halsey. She is, for the most part, very, very bad, but I feel some like pity towards her, so I kind of defend her sometimes, and I'm like, you guys are too harsh on Halsey. You know, like New Americana. That was so long ago. It's terrible, but she's grown since then. You know, she's grown a little bit. She's not good. She still makes a lot of really terrible music, but you know what? Of the Lorde ripoff, she's kind of just doing her own thing now. She's getting her heart broken by G-Eazy. That sucks.
No longer singing at the mall.
No longer singing at the mall. Oh God. Okay.
We love
there's a 30 Seconds to Mars song on here.
Wait, what?
Right above.
Yes, there's still a thing.
It came out in 2018.
No.
Yes.
I
I scrolled down pretty far, but
okay. You're looking at the playlist. I'm just looking at the top 40 chart on the Nielsen website. Oh, so there's more like fake bands I get to rattle off really quick. Oh boy. Okay.
Dreamers, all caps.
They're unfortunately real. I have heard that because they got brought to my radio station. Half Alive, half Centered Period Alive, who is apparently like good according to Indieheads, but I don't know. There's a band called I Don't Know How, but They Found Me.
Oh yeah, that one. I've heard of that one.
That just seems...
It's like the Panic at the Disco without all the other members, right?
It sounds like a hipster runoff, like fake band name, but sure.
They were at Riot Fest. They're real, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. There's Morgan with an X. How do you figure out where the X is? Morgan with an X. Let's see.
Is that like a gender neutral thing?
I don't know. A band called Kitten. Kitten.
Kitten's actually not.
Oh yeah, they're collabing with Dirty Heads.
Bishop Briggs, who's
Bishop Briggs is real. And I saw her with Coldplay.
Okay. Bishop Briggs is real. I saw her at a fest, and I was surrounded by like 50 Bishop Briggs stands who were shouting at her at the bottom of the card, "You should be the headliner."
Aww.
It was...
Oh, they haven't developed taste yet. Oh. I don't like her.
Are there any other Weezer songs on the actual charter? Because I keep looking at this one that's on the playlist, and it scares me.
Nah, I think this is the only Weezer, at least in the top 40. This is the only Weezer song is the.
Okay, because I see Africa in the playlist, and I'm just sitting there like dreading it.
Yeah. Hey Rose, you want to tell everyone your little secret about Africa?
No, I don't want to speak any more about this. We are shutting down this discussion.
So Chris, Africa was Rose's most played song of 2018.
Wow,
it was
I jokingly promised I jokingly promised the person who like made it happen. They were like, "Hey, what are you guys gonna do if Africa becomes a reality?" And I'm just like, I'm gonna listen to it for 24 hours, and I like just put it on in the background the entire day, and I slowly went insane.
Yeah, I bet. Wow, that'll do it.
Okay, I think that about wraps it up, folks. Thank you once again, Chris Farren, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
This wonderful journey. Of course, Born Hot is out now via Polyvinyl. Go pick it up at your local record store if it's there. If not, go to polyvinylrecords.com and pick it up there. There's some really sweet vinyl variants that you should get. I love a sexy colored vinyl variant. And of course, Chris will be on tour starting January 15th with Max Seal and Retirement Party. Go see him in the United States if he's coming near you. Little Man not coming to St. Louis, but we'll figure that out at a later time. We'll talk about that off the record. And of course, you're coming to the UK.
That's right.
Coming to the UK.
Woo.
And yeah, I think that's about it. Is there any other plugs? Woo. I should say, okay, really quick, because I didn't say this at the beginning of the podcast. The Album of the Year podcast, they will come out. It's gonna be a little bit, but they will happen. I promise you. Before the month ends, I swear to God, we will properly wrap up 2019 before we get into the true get to the roaring 20s. Once again, baby. Love that. Love the 20s. Love that stuff. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this podcast. Thank you once again, Chris Farren, for joining us, and we will see you all the next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.